For centuries, psychics and mediums have attempted to pull back the dark curtain of mystery that separates the land of the living from the realm of the dead. Some claim to have successfully recorded spirit voices on electronic equipment. In 1920, Thomas Edison experimented with a device designed to pick up the voices of those beyond the grave. What were the strange sounds captured by this updated version of Edison's machine? Are we ready to establish direct communication with the spirit world? Man has always been frightened by the dark, troubled by the sound of echoing laughter or hollow footsteps passing down long, empty corridors. At the S&A studios in Hollywood, California, there has been a history of occurrences that some say is beyond the realm of understanding. Many of the tales emanate from behind the massive doors of Sound Stage Number 1. Mary Pickford once acted here. Cecil B. DeMille directed. One man recreates his own astonishing story.
My name is Jerry Fitzpatrick. I was the construction coordinator at this studio for approximately 4 years. It is one of the oldest sound stages in Hollywood. It was one particular night I remember I worked all night by myself. We had a large set to build and I was here alone laying it out. I was tired, but I remember I stepped back over in this area to take a look at what I had done. But at that time, there used to be a catwalk right up here, about 15 feet off the ground, from one end of the soundstage to the other. Also, at that time, there was a staircase that came from this door down to floor level. It was at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard the door open and close and footsteps coming down the catwalk. I immediately called out, "Who's there?" And the footsteps stopped. There was total silence. So I ran up the steps to check the door, and the door was bolted, like all the security doors were, and the alarm system was on. The hour was late and I was tired, but I heard that door open and close, and footsteps coming down the catwalk.
Some have suggested the theory that the dead may occasionally re-enter our own time and space. Confused by their predicament, the spirits may call out for help or attempt to communicate. Many would suggest that the strange noises in this old studio are the product of overactive imaginations, but others aren't so certain. Could spirits actually be attempting to speak to us? One man may have uncovered evidence that implies spirit communication may occur with remarkable frequency. D. Scott Rogo is the author of Phone Calls from the Dead.
Well, I first heard about these cases when I first entered the field, which was close to 10, 12 years ago. And I really didn't take them seriously at all. I thought they were very outlandish. It was hard for me to believe that people were actually getting phone calls from people who were dead. But as the years progressed and I did more and more investigations, I discovered that these calls were fairly common. And then I realized that there was a major effect here that someone really had to study.
Mary Meredith of Oklahoma City recreates the night she purportedly received a phone call from the dead.
Hello? Of course, I don't tell everybody about it, because a lot of people still think that I'm crazy when they even hear about it. But I know that it was, and it happened to me.
Mary Meredith's case occurred in 1977. She had just been in the hospital. She had returned to her home, not knowing that there was a letter waiting for her telling her that her cousin had died. She had been very close to this cousin. It was very soon after she read this letter from her mother that the phone rang, and it was from her cousin.
It just really upset me when I got the phone call, and I hung up on the first phone call because it upset me. But when she called back again, I said, I cannot believe that anyone would call someone and tell them that it's their cousin when my cousin is dead. I can't believe this. I said, and I have been sick, and I can't believe anyone would pull something on me like this. She said, but I know you've been sick. I was at the hospital with you. And I said, what are you talking about? And the phone started getting crackling, and then I couldn't hear her. It just faded away.
The idea that the dead can contact the living through electromagnetic devices is certainly not new with my research. Thomas Edison, for instance, several years before his death, became very fascinated with the idea that he could invent a machine that could bring through the voices of the dead, and even apparently made some sketches of such equipment. Edison, as is well known, was extremely paranoid about his ideas and kept them very, very hidden, so he never patented his ideas. But certain sketches did surface after his death, which purported to be the machine he was working on.
The year is 1920. Thomas Edison is 73 years old, inventor of the light bulb, the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and countless other devices. The grand old man of science focuses his genius on audio contact with the spirit world. Edison claimed his research was unfruitful, but some believe he was on the verge of success. In another laboratory, 60 years later, an inventor may be following in Edison's footsteps. Al Manning is the head of the ESP Center in Los Angeles, California.
You might not expect a person with a background in aerospace to be interested in spirit contact and other psychic things, but it happened for me in a very practical way. I was studying a big printout of figures, and I knew there was a mistake on the page, not knowing where, but as I ran my finger down the column, I felt a buzz under it. And sure enough, when we checked that line, that was where the mistake was. This was certainly not to kindle my interest in spirit contact in the occult. It led to a study of ritual and ceremony to enhance the contact with spirit and other magical things.
As Manning's research efforts grew, he gathered around him a group interested in exploring the field of spirit contact. If they succeed, the potential rewards could be immense. Some believe that an awesome source of knowledge may become available to those able to break through the barrier that separates the living from the dead. Al Manning recreates a moment when he claims he accomplished direct contact with a spirit entity.
I was sitting in meditation one day, and a spirit showed me a picture of a device, wild-looking thing, and spoke the word mica. I didn't understand it. I said, "Do you mean formica?" Very clearly it came back, "No, mica." I don't know how it works.
While photographing Al Manning's crystal device, cameras recorded a possibly strange phenomenon. Is it a reflection, a defect in the film emulsion, or like Thomas Edison, has Al Manning made a breakthrough of possible scientific significance?
The work of Thomas Edison, both in his research methods and his persistence, have always fascinated me. So when we came across partial plans for a device that he had been working on to contact spirit by recording their voices, we thought we would try once more in this area. We have done other things in the past unsuccessfully. And I don't know if this one is going to work, but we're going to use the old home recorder for the cone particularly, along with an extra long antenna with flashing lights, in hopes of attracting the local spirits to us so that they can participate in recording the voices.
What explanation is there for the remarkable sounds recorded through Al Manning's machine late at night in the graveyard?